Hi guys, it's Miss Caceres. Welcome back. So for this week, our topic will be understand decimal place value, which is something we've been practicing from the very first week during diagnostics review. Our objective would be to read and write numbers with decimals through thousands using standard form, expanded form in two different ways, and number names. Your I can statement is I can read and write decimals in different ways. Here is the decimal place value chart. Remember, I told you guys you need to start recognizing this because it's different from the one you have originally seen, where you only have ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. With the decimal, you have three different positions or place values before the decimal period, which would be the thousands, the hundreds, and the tens. So you have to remember that. Now, here's an example of standard form, expanded form, and also number name. For the standard form, it's the original decimal. For the expanded form, you do it according to its place value. What do I mean by that? You have the thousands, the hundreds, and the tenths. The 5 is been placed in the thousands. So you would open a parenthesis and go 5 times 1 over 1,000. The 4 is in the hundreds place. So you would go 4 times 1 over 100. And then number 2 is in the tens place. So you would go 10 times 1 over 10. All of this has to be done in a parenthesis with a plus sign on the outside to put them all together. And then finally you have the number name, which in this case would be 245 thousandths. Remember that it always ends in thousands. All right, now let's go to our website. And here you'll see on page 17 in your textbook the following exercise.
A runner won a 100-meter race with a time of 9.85 seconds. How can you use place value to explain this time? Complete a place value chart to show this time.
Okay, so we would place the time in the spaces where it belongs. So this is a lot simpler than it seems, guys. Remember, we're learning about the place value chart. So if there is a period or the decimal period is here, obviously we will begin here. And we will add our 9, then our 8, and then our 5. Now, obviously, we have to know the place value of each one. You have the ones before the decimal point. Here we have the thousands, the hundreds, and then the tens. And this is how you would place it in the place value chart. Now, moving on, we have a video. Please pay attention.
How can you represent decimals? Joe picked a seed from her flower. The seed has a mass of 245 thousandths of a gram. What are some different ways you can represent 245 thousandths?
Now, we actually just discussed this. There are 3 different ways that you guys can do that. Do you remember what they are? That's right.
Did you know that a single seed from an orchid, such as this one, can have a mass of 245 thousandths of a gram? Do you remember the different ways to write numbers?
Well, you can write the standard form, expanded form, and number name for a decimal, just like you can for a whole number.
A place value chart can help you identify the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths place in a decimal.
Okay, so again, remember you guys, we have to practice with the place value chart. That way we will not forget the placing of the thousands, the hundreds, and the tens before the decimal point.
Look at the number 245 thousandths.
Let's try it out. Now, if we were to place the number in the place value chart, it would give us a demonstration of how it's placed. 0.245, and you have each place value, the thousands, the hundreds, and the tens for the decimal. Now, if we were to put it into standard form, it would give us the original number that we are seeing now. Now, the expanded form, remember what we talked about the place value chart. This helps you a lot. The number 2 is placed in the tenths. So we would open a parenthesis and put 10 times 1 over 10, close parenthesis, plus The number 4, which is in the hundredths place. 4 times 1 over 100, close parenthesis, plus the number 5, which in this case, open parenthesis, 5 times 1 over 1,000, since the number 5 is in the thousandths place, and we close parenthesis. And finally, the number name, which would be 245 thousandths. Remember, that's how we end the decimal numbers, with the thousandths.
What is the standard form of this decimal number?
Remember standard form? It's the original number in its original form.
The standard form of this decimal number is written as it would appear in a place value chart. In what place is the digit 5?
Select your answer.
What place is it in, guys? That's right, the thousandths.
The 5 is in the thousandths place. Its value is 5 thousandths. What is the expanded form of this decimal number?
Remember, we just talked about expanded form, you guys. How would we put this out? Depending on the place value of each number in a parenthesis along with a fraction form of its placing. 1 over 1,000, 1 over 100, and 1 over 10.
The expanded form of this decimal number is written as the quantity of 2 times 1/10 plus the quantity of 4 times 1/100th plus the quantity of 5 times 1,000th. What is the number name of this decimal number?
So now we look for the number name. Remember that the number name is when we put the numbers in the form of words. In this case, it would be 245 thousandths, because that's the last number we had in the decimal place value.
The number name of this decimal number may be written as 245 thousandths. Now you know how to represent decimals.
Okay, so moving on. In your textbooks, it's time to convince me that you understood what's going on here. How many hundreds are there in 1/10? Remember, we talked about the 1/10 before, when we were talking about how two digits are next to each other. Depending if it's on the left or it's on the right, it has a value of a power of 10 or the value of a power of 1/10. So, how many are there here? That's right, there are 10 hundredths in 1/10. Sorry if that doesn't look very nice, but I know you guys can understand it. Now, how many thousands are there in 100? How many thousands are there in 100? That's right, there are exactly 10 hundredths. Sorry, 10 thousandths in 100 is what I meant to say. 10 thousandths in 100. Not the nicest handwriting, but you guys know I'm doing my best with what this can work with. Okay, so how do we know this? Because we know that both of these are equal when they are in decimal form. What does that mean? It means if I have 0.10, okay, I'm going to use this one better. Okay, that means that if I have 0.10, it equals or is the same as, give me a second, having some technical difficulties here. 0.10 equals 0.1. The same for 0.010 equals 0.01. They are both the same numbers. Okay. Now, I hope no one has any questions up till here. We're going to do a couple more. You can, okay, having some technical difficulties. Going to go back to the convince me part where we were originally. So here you guys will now have to work on page 19, which would be the guided practice from number 1 to number 3, and then the independent practice from 4 to 10 for this topic. Now, we're going to move on to a different topic. Remember, any questions you guys have, feel free to ask. That is the entire point of me being your teacher. Oh, having some really bad technical difficulties. Okay. Well, that's the furthest we're going to make it with this video today. I hope that this answered any questions that you guys had about this topic. See you next time. Bye.